And a good Thursday night, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz. We've got some very active weather moving in. Big changes on the way, not just for tonight, but for the next couple of days. And we're doing a little special Inside Baseball tonight at 9 o'clock on 10 TV Plus. We appreciate you joining us. Maybe you're catching us also on Facebook, the 10 TV Facebook page, or YouTube, or whatever you're able to consume what we're doing right now. We appreciate you joining us tonight. A couple of things off the top, and then we'll get to a bit more detailed breakdown of the situation. You can always text us as well. You see the number at the bottom of the screen, 614-460-3345. Ask a question. We'll try and get to many of those as possible. I'm going to make some assumptions about questions you're asking, so give me a moment or two to try and answer those. Also on our 10 TV Facebook page, if you add a comment, that's great. Direct messages are a little more cumbersome to respond to, so if you'd like us to try to get back to you, like me to try and get back to you in short order, a simple text message to the number below, or you could send a comment on the 10 TV Facebook page where we're also streaming live right now. So tell your family, tell your friends. We'll be on for 10 or 20 minutes to give you an update on what's happening. And the big picture items are really twofold. the big ramp up in the wind, the big ramp up in the rain, possible thunderstorms. And again, we'll get more detail about that momentarily. And then the huge drop in temperatures, which might create a couple of problems tomorrow morning. And again, we'll break that down too. So here again is what the weather impact is. Heavy rain, possibly some thunderstorms, gusty winds, and a big drop in temperatures. I'm going to put a bit of a fine point on this first comment because we might have some severe weather gusts, 35, 45, 55 miles an hour plus. And last time I checked, and we'll check again in a couple of minutes, 0 lightning. So we can have that level of very robust or strong or severe level storms or cells without actually having lightning. So it's happened a couple times, not very often. And along those lines, we'll watch that line come through and rocket in here and out very quickly in the next 3 to 4 hours. Right now, we're seeing what was a reasonably dry evening changing really fast across much of the metro, including some showers around Delaware, around Dublin, a couple of downpours if you're heading out on 70 or out on the National Road toward Madison County and London. East and south and northeast, just a couple of rain showers there. As we expand, though, clearly your attention picks up on a couple of things. You've got this corridor of rain and a little bit of gusty winds coming up. Then you got this thin little line that goes all the way from western parts of Logan County back down towards Springfield, Clark County, and then near Dayton. And this is what we've been watching coming for literally the past 6 or 7 hours, and it's held together the entire time. That's right along a cold front that is going to do, as the name implies, really drop those temperatures, but it's also doing a really good job of focusing the energy. And the energy is also not just the temperature difference, but a change in the wind direction. And I'm just bringing that up and giving you again a little bit of inside baseball, and that it's not out of the question to see a couple of those areas and pockets maybe even spin up a tornado. Now, it's not something we talk about in terms of widespread severe weather. It's not something that we would talk about in the context of a spring or summer, so a strong thunderstorm event. Just letting you know that the chance is very, 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 very small, but it's something that we're watching, and we'll break it down for you coming up too. So let's take a closer look at what we're talking about then. We'll put this into motion for you, and that does show the area that we're watching right now. If I can get this to drop down, it was there a second, and there it is. So we're going to stop this momentarily and zoom in a little bit closer to that area just to the west. Again, it's outside of the 10 TV viewing area, but bears watching as that line begins to move in. So the radar scan I want to get just simplifies things a little bit, slows it down, and then shows again this main body of rain. No thunder and no lightning, obviously. That second line is what we're watching. And I'm going to move just a little bit further off toward the left, and that will show you, if I can, there we go. We're going to be moving just to the west. There we go. Zoom into that line, and we're going to break it down again. It doesn't look terribly ominous, but when we change the perspective just a little bit, you'll see what I'm talking about here. And what we're looking at now is not just what you normally see from the radar scan, but you see where the wind is going toward that line, and then the green where it's coming behind. And what we're watching are those little notches, and we call those little inflows, those boundaries. This is, again, just to reiterate, it's not a severe weather widespread situation or something we're just watching closely and just letting you know what we're thinking here in the 10 Weather Impact Weather Centers. So just breaking that down for you a little bit. And as we go through the next couple of hours, I expect that to race east at about 30 or 40 miles an hour. So let's track that then. Let's go back to the standard radar that you're used to seeing here. We'll zoom out just a little bit to give you a bit more of a perspective on that. And we'll expand that line. Now, it's even about 35 miles an hour. It's not going to reach maybe just the western edge of the 10 TV viewing area, but nevertheless, we'll do a little bit of justice by putting a track on that. That will allow us to, again, take it all the way from around, it's a pretty big track at that, from northwest of Bellefontaine and Hardin County, all the way down, and then moving it off toward the east. It was moving at about 31 knots. That's about, quick math, about 37 miles an hour. So it does get toward Delaware, does get toward western parts of Franklin County, or excuse me, Madison County, over toward Marysville 951, London 959. So still about 45 to 50 minutes time before that line moves in. So bigger picture for you right now. Very easy. Your eyes are drawing attention to what we've just been talking about. That preliminary line moving in, that secondary line with the cold front itself. You'll also watch with that cold air rushing in, we're also going to dry it out pretty quickly. But you'll also notice something else, which is really important. West of Indianapolis, we're all the way back toward Illinois, you do see a couple of rain showers and a couple of snow showers. We're going to have a 1-2 punch of temperature drop overnight tonight, initially dropping about 20 degrees in a few hours after midnight tonight. But cold enough by tomorrow morning to see some of those rain showers flipping over to some snow showers. So let's go hour by hour then, watching these conditions change as we go through 10 o'clock through the wee hours of the morning. So I'm going to get rid of that for you and then move it in time. 11 o'clock, you see that line almost on cue. This is our high resolution model. Moving it through around midnight and then kind of arcing eastward by 1 a.m. Behind that, you do see a changeover from some rain showers to snow showers. Temperatures still in the 50s and the 40s and eventually the 30s, staying at or above freezing. Then around 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 to 5 o'clock, you see that second push. That is a couple of rain showers and more snow showers, and that is the gusty winds and the leading edge of the much colder air that'll come in. Now, keep in mind, this is about 3-4 hours from sunrise, so still is occurring early in the morning. What we're watching then behind that is that rapid temperature fall. We were close to the 60s in some spots earlier today. Current temperature is still 55 degrees in central Ohio. We're 41 in Indianapolis, 31 in Springfield, we're 14 in Dubuque. I don't think we're going to get quite that cold, but we're going to be pretty close tomorrow, especially in northern parts of the state. In the teens tomorrow, so that's a drop of over 35, almost 40 degrees at spots over about 24 hours, so maybe less than 24 hours. So that is, again, what's really driving this weather through. Look at this rapid drop in temperatures. We get down below freezing between about 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning. That is just the really first punch of cold air. And the one thing I'm not overly concerned about, but would be remiss if I don't share with you, is as this line moves on through, we're going to go through, because we've just seen this a couple of moments ago, that arcs eastward, and then, of course, it kind of stops on me. But let's get to the point I was trying to make with the temperatures through the day tomorrow. We do see that drop and kind of levels off into the 20s. Wind chills in the teens all day. What you don't see are scattered snow showers in this mix. There's very little chance of that. But with the wet weather coming in tonight, probably some runoff on the roads, a pretty quick freeze going down to below 32 degrees by 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not necessarily concerned about the roads, most of the roads, but let me clarify in that the elevated roads, bridges, exit ramps, on-ramps, overpasses, the things that you probably walk across or drive across multiple times a day without even thinking twice about can be very slick. I am sure, I'm hoping that the road crews are anticipating the same thing. It's impossible for them to go out and pre-treat in this situation because their chemicals will get washed away. But after this rain passes through, hopefully the bridges and overpass will get a little bit of salt, and that will keep them from freezing, because keep in mind, and we talked about this multiple times, just a reminder, it might look wet on that bridge if you're going around 270, for example, but that bridge has an opportunity to cool from the bottom and from the top. So since it's cooling faster than the surrounding ground, you might be driving on dry or even wet pavement before you get to that bridge and hit that, and it can be very slick and very icy. So just know that's a possibility. Now, through the day, we're going to dry it out, so ice, rain should not be a problem at all for the second half of the day, but we're going to stay right around 24 degrees all day tomorrow, all night tomorrow night, and even into Saturday morning before we see a bit of a bounce back. Now, we're also going to shift gears a little bit and talk about a little drop in temperatures over the early part of next week. This is the 6 to 10 day forecast. And I'm showing you this because this includes Christmas Eve all the way to the last weekend of December. Temperatures, not just for us, but for the eastern 2/3 of the country, for the most part, save for New England, are going to be above normal or well above normal. What that means is that we do get a weather system moving through, nothing looking very big or ominous, a better chance of rain showers and snow showers, and it also means pretty much a zero chance of seeing that white Christmas. But if you're traveling, whether it's by air or by car, I'm not seeing any major weather-induced disruptions next week or into the following weekend. So trying to find a little bit of a silver lining for you. So let's break down the 7-day forecast and we get back over and see if we've got some comments or questions from the crew. 28 tomorrow, that's in the morning. We fall all day through the 20s, some spots in the teens tomorrow. It'll be rather brisk on Saturday, but we'll take the bright skies in 45. Another weak system comes by Saturday night into Sunday. That doesn't do much in terms of any snow, but it does drop temperatures about 9 or 10 degrees. Monday will rebound a bit. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, 47, 48, 56. Christmas Day, if it tracks as it's looking right now, will be as warm, if not warmer, than today. Unlike today, I'm not looking for that massive drop in temperatures and the gusty winds and the rain that we're experiencing tonight or will be experiencing over the next couple of hours. So let's break that down for you. Let me reactivate my screen. In the past 11 minutes, it kind of went to sleep on me, so give me 30 seconds here. Not seeing much of anything on the Facebook. Merry Christmas there for Marion. Appreciate that. White Christmas, that's an old question. That's 0. Let's go back and look at the radar scan for you for a couple of seconds there and appreciate those folks that are joining. Again, the number at the bottom of the screen was, and maybe it will be again, 614-460-3345. In case you want to chime in and ask a couple of questions. But what I'm going to do in the time that we have here together is do a quick breakdown of the radar scan. And we can just go back and forth, our director Nate, and kind of take these radars full screen when we get kind of down to the nitty gritty and then bop it back out again. Here's a big picture for you. We're focusing on 2 things. First one being this large area of rain and some gusty winds. That's happening right now. Disruptive, inclement, but not necessarily urgent. The second area I'm watching is just a little sliver. And I'm going to put a measurement on this just for my edification too, that stretches from Hardin County down toward Logan County and Bell Fountain and then back to the west. As we talked about moments ago, and I don't throw this term out there lightly, the potential for gusty winds or a tornado, but it's very, very low. But I'll show you in a second why I'm mentioning that. In this little line, this line is only about 5 to 7 miles. It's moving about 30 miles an hour. It's about 10 to 15 minutes of very disruptive weather that we're watching very closely. The other thing we're able to do is we can change the scan, the data that you're seeing, I should say. So let me do that and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're looking now at the wind going toward and away from the radar scan. And this is not something you're normally going to see, but if you look close, you will see within this line a couple little areas that kind of bow out and then kind of notch in a couple, and it's very subtle. This one in particular, if you really want to get picky, I mean, if this was spring or summer, especially 2 years ago when we just couldn't have a storm without having a tornado, this would be much more concerning. It's not. Okay, this is mid-December, it's the middle of the night. We don't have all the ingredients together for severe weather, but this looks gnarly. At the very least, what I'm concerned about are gusty winds. And that's something else that we're watching over the next couple of hours. So it's likely to see that. Let me get back to the normal radar scan for you before you think we're just talking about Christmas with all the green and red here. We're not. We're tracking some very active weather across central Ohio. And that specifically starts with this first wave moving in right now, Delaware, Columbus, and London, and then back toward the west. So I'm going to put a track on this for you, starting off toward the north and going down. Moving east at a pretty good clip. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on that and then move that over so you can see. Let me erase that and do that again. Bear with me for just 1 second. There we go. Move it east. So that's around Xenia, Bell Fountain 916, Xenia 920, Mechanicsburg 944, Marysville, Union County 955, London, Madison County, West Jeff at 1012. So in a little more than an hour's time, that line, and it's going to hold together as well as it gets toward Fayette County, as it gets towards Pickaway, Franklin, Delaware, Marion, and east, because it's been together for about 300 miles since it was in Illinois and is still moving through. So I have every reason to believe that that trend will continue. So that's what we're looking at tonight. I don't see a ton of questions on there. Appreciate the comments from a few of you. Thank you very much. And again, the opportunity to break in for what we're looking at and dealing with tonight. One other thing to keep in mind, and we talked about this, and I'm going to show you this graphic again, is just how fast these temperatures are dropping behind the front. Not only talking about downpours and gusty winds for the first half of tonight, we're talking about a quick drop in temperatures too, 50s and 40s and 30s and 20s. So just know that I'm going to be with you in less than 2 hours on 10 TV at 11 o'clock. We're going to break down the latest models, and we're actually probably tracking that line of showers and maybe some gusty winds and thunderstorms in real time, because at that time it'll be moving through much of the metro area, and of course tracking that as it moves out of town. Behind that, temperatures dropping fast, so sleep easy tonight if you can with the windows rattling. The rain will taper off, but just know tomorrow morning, give yourself a couple extra minutes. And if you're driving, especially early, if it looks wet on a bridge or an overpass, just ease off the gas and the brakes. Should be okay, but there might be a couple of slick spots out there, especially in some of the outlying areas on those bridges and overpasses. So I appreciate you joining us on this Thursday night. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz. Join the team and I tonight at 11 o'clock for the latest forecast. And of course, I'm going to promote ahead to Aaron White tomorrow morning. We'll be here at 5 o'clock in the morning. We've already communicated and kind of traded notes, so hopefully he's getting some sleep now and be ready to walk you through the cold and blustery conditions you're going to expect on Friday morning. See you again at 11 o'clock on 10 TV. Have a good night.